Hi YouTubers, how are you? As promised, I am doing my second video on Match, Zoosk, Bumble, and I'm also giving a few pointers on barriers to relationship. If you're new to my channel, my name is Felicia. My channel is Girl Power 101. If you would like to subscribe, just hit the like button. If this is your first time dating, I encourage you to just get on a dating site and just look around and play with it and have just a little fun as we walk through a couple more dating sites that I've been on. If you have any questions, comments below, just leave a comment after this video and I'll be very happy to respond and give you some feedback. So the first dating app that we're going to look at is Zoosk, and the second dating app we're going to look at is Match, and the third dating app that we're going to look at is Bumble. And the final, to wrap this video up, we can finally wrap it up with the barriers to relationship. Okay, so like I said, if this is your first time dating and you decide on a dating app that you would really, really like, you have to create a profile. And what goes into a profile? My profile that I'm going to read is from Zoosk. And when you do a profile, you really need to have a very good picture. Some of the pictures that you would see on other people's profile, if you do get a chance to look at them, they're not even in the picture. So make sure when you take a picture, you're in the picture, you're not behind the tree, the sunlight is not bearing down on your face and nobody can see you. If you're taking the picture with your family member, make sure that people can see you. Honestly, if you're not in the picture and people can't see you, maybe they will delete you because they cannot see you, so they have no idea what you look like. Can you get away with putting your profile on the site with no picture? Yes, and I will tell you all about that in the third video, how I met this gentleman from Match. He had no picture. And he only had a profile, and we started talking. Yes, I was interested in a picture, but like I said, you can have a profile and no picture. So I'm going to read you my profile story that you need to make up so that others can get interested in you. I am a peaceful person looking for marriage. I am interested in an interracial relationship that is fun and expressive. I love intimacy and a captivative partner. I like real estate, walking, camping, reading, and working. What is a perfect match for me? I'm looking for a handsome, attractive man who makes me laugh, knows how to take care of himself, and is ambitious. This man should know how to cook, garden, and like housework. This man should have a great sense of hygiene and have good financial sense. What do I think my ideal date should look like? Someone who shows up and has great conversation, not someone who will talk my ear off and will overshadow me in a conversation. Do not want that. So that is my profile story. Those are the three steps that Zoosk had set up for their intro story, perfect match, and ideal date. So you have to think about all three of those and write something. Now your profile could be long, that is up to you. I would not give away everything about you in a profile, but some people tend to write longer than others. That is just up to you. But like I said, I would not make the profile 3 pages long. On a profile, you don't have to use your real name. My name on Zoosk was Cheerfully Smooth, so you don't have to use your real name. You can use a stage name. Zoosk calls it just a play name, so you can use that in the profile. They have display name, and that's the same thing as a play name. You would put your age, your location, where you live. You don't have to give specifics like your street address. You don't have to do that. You can give Minnesota, Minneapolis. Gender, interested in height, your ethnicity, your body type. They're looking for average build, your relationships history, if you were married or you're single. They want to know if you've had children or not. They want to know about your educational status. They also would like to know about your religion and if you smoke. They would also like to know about the industry where you work. You don't have to say you work at Rochester General. You could say you work at in healthcare. So you don't have to give specifics as to where you work if that makes you uncomfortable. It also talks about income, and you don't have to include that if you're not comfortable with that. I will say that Zoosk has some different setups. They have a smart pick, which is more like a download of a smaller version of your profile. They just get to pick bits and pieces of you from your profile, and they'll get more of a finite search. They'll just search for people who you would line up with. Okay. And then they also have views, and you get to see how many people have viewed you. You also can indicate your sign if you wish to put your sign down. If you don't want to include your sign, I mean zodiac sign, your birthday, if you're an Aquarius or if you're a Scorpio. If you choose not to put that down in your profile detail, you don't have to. Okay, so what I mean by the smart pick refining your search, meaning this is a question that I was asked. It says, do you date men shorter than you? And that refines your search, and they will try to pair you up with someone that question fits. So if you say yes, they'll try to match you up with somebody. And if you say no, and so forth. So that was Zoosk, and that's the details on some of the profile. Also with Zoosk, you can think about how many months you want to participate on Zoosk. I decided to do 1 month subscription, and their month subscription was $29.95. And I subscribed from 5/24/2020 to 6/24/2020. There's an automatic renewal, so be careful of that. You may want to designate a special credit card just for the dating apps, because like I said, it's automatically renewed. You can call them and cancel it. You can write them and cancel it, but make sure you do that before the due date. For 3 months, subscription is $59.95, and for a 6 month subscription is $74.95. So it's up to you how long you want to continue with your dating search. 6 months sounds good. This site is a cheaper site, and I decided to go with this site because of the price. I figured $29.95 wasn't too bad. So that is Zook, and I am going to go to um, Match, and I'm going to read you my profile for Match and tell you a couple different things about Match and continue on. As it reads, I am finally writing this summary because I want the connection with someone intimately. Yes, I want to be married. I am not looking for a part-time relationship, but a full-time relationship with someone who is attractive and peaceful to be around. I do not like to argue, but I understand conversation of the highest degree. I do expect a call every day if that special someone is interested in me. I am interested in, but I prefer white naturally. I am sorry for this, but this is how I feel at this point in my life. So I was making a point that I'm interested in interracial relationships. Not that I do not like black men, but at this particular point in my life, this is what I wanted. As I continue to write, I do enjoy some light gardening, and that simply means watering the plants. Easy does it. So if you're a gardener, I'm not a big fan of gardening, and that's why I said I would water the plants. I enjoy hard work, sometimes too hard, but when I am home, I'm restless. I'm happy to go out on the town and see what is out there. If you are the one and is interested, I live in Rochester, hopefully not too far from some. Send me a note if interested. I would love to hear from you. I do not know how long I will be on this site, but I will try it. So that's the disclaimer that I do not know how long I'll be on the site, but I am here. I'm new. I'm willing to try this site. So that person knows that you're only there for a short period of time. If they're interested, they can get in contact with you. I will say that you can have multiple sites. I have seen a lot of men on Zook and a lot of men on Match, and they're the same person. So understanding that these sites, again, they cost money. It is up to you if you want to spend the money on two sites. I have spent money on two sites. I am on Zook and I am on Bumble, but that is just up to you. You have it's an advertisement for you to get your name out there, to see what's out there, to see if you can get some views, some likes, and see if you can get a conversation going. So that's totally, totally up to you if you want to be on multiple sites. Okay, so I had a screen name, and the screen name on Match was Tibris. And it lists if you're male or female, and it does give the miles where you're located. If you're 50 miles in radius to the next person, what happens is the computer will search for a person close to you or within proximity of that area. The further you go out, the better your search. But the closer you stay, the less likely that you will get the number of searches that you're looking for. So you just have to broaden your horizon when it comes to searching and put, so you might have to say, well, instead of 50 miles, I'll go to 150 miles, and that'll give you a better overall view of prospects. I will say that you will get likes and views within the first week, 2 weeks. I have replied to some people, and they have not replied back. So you may find that you're replying to some of your prospects, some of the candidates, some of those interests, and they may not reply back. So this is a numbers game. You just have to keep trying. Dating apps and dating process is not easy. You have to work at it. It takes time. And so Not everybody's going to respond to you. Not everybody going to contact you. Some people lose their interest after a couple days, after a couple weeks. It's best to reply to them within the first 2 days, not maybe not a week. They probably will forget who you are. They'll probably lose their interest. So take it as it comes. Just remember, some people will not respond to you. Even though they may send you a response or they may like you, things may change as time goes on. Some notes that I made about Match. If you are interested in Match and you want to spend the money, for Match has a month, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. For the first month of Match, it costs $44. For 3 months, it's $37.99, but that is the equivalent of $113. So you have to pay attention to the dollar signs, because it's not exactly $37.99. It's $37.99 times 3 months. So that's $113. And you have 6 months, which is $23.99 per month. And that comes out to $143 and some change. You also have a 12-month plan with Match, and that's $21.99. But that turns into $233 for the total 12 months. So you have to just think, how long do I want to spend on this site? How much money am I willing to spend on this site? That is up to you. You make that decision. But the cheapest price here would be a month, which is $44 if you just want to try the site out, if you even are remotely interested. I will say that when I started Match, I didn't pay for Match. I had some technical difficulty. Like I said, designate a card that you would be willing to use for the dating sites. Designate one credit card, because I had some trouble. I had to call the company and the card would not work, and so they gave me 7 days free, and that is how I was able to get on Match. I was able to respond to all the prospects, and I ended up getting 2 numbers. I should say 3 numbers. I'm talking to one of the gentlemen now, and it's been a month and 2 weeks, and I will tell you about that gentleman in my next video and how things are going with him. So yes, I did meet somebody on Match. It's been a month and 2 weeks. I didn't pay for the site. It just happened that the card we're having a problem with the card. I called the company and they gave me a couple days free. So like I said, designate a specific card for these dating apps. You may have trouble with your card and you might have to call the company, or you call your bank and take care of it. So that's what happened there. Now I'm going to talk about Bumble. And Bumble is the newest site that I'm on. I'm going to just read my profile. It's very, very short. I decided to trim it down for Bumble. And this is what I have to say in my profile. I'm interested in an interracial relationship that is fun and exciting and leads to marriage. So that's truly a lot shorter than Zoosk and Match. And that is up to you. You can make them long or short, whatever works for you at that period of time. The interesting thing about Bumble is you, as the female, you respond first. You're the first one who makes the first move on Bumble. I had to read about it on my own. That's why I know that as the female, you send the messages first. Bumble is set up how when you swipe to the right, when you swipe, the pictures will come up on the screen. And if you swipe to the right, that means you like the person. If you swipe to the left, that means you're politely passing the person and you're not interested. But when you swipe to the right, you may think that these men will show up or these women will show up in your beeline, and the beeline is your likes. It will appear in the lower hand corner of the screen. So it is not a guarantee that when you swipe to the right and you say, this is the person I like, that that particular person will show up in your beeline and that's the person who will contact you. It is not. It is very different. It is not the person who will contact you. So your likes will be very different from the people you're swiping to the right. Other features that Bumble has, if you want to delete a person and you're no longer interested in them, next to the picture on the right hand side, you can slide across their name and there will be a red button that says delete. And like 6 icons will come up. And in the delete icon, it will say reason why you unmatched, why you want to be unmatched. And a couple of the reasons are makes me uncomfortable, abusive or threatening, inappropriate content, spam, scam, stolen photo, user is under 18. I'm just not interested. So those are the topics in the delete section. You can pick any one of those if you're no longer interested in the person. You can also report the person for any abusive or threatening behavior. There's a line when you touch the icon that says you're no longer interested. They want to know why. Stolen photo, they want to know why, and you can just put your feedback in there and then hit enter and you can send it back. So those are the features on Bumble that are interesting, that I thought was interesting. Sliding them to the right, sliding them to the pictures to the left. Very, very interesting. I decided to go ahead and pay $24.95. That was for the first month. And with Bumble, it's very funny. You can subscribe for a week. That was interesting to me. You can subscribe for a week. You can subscribe for 3 months, 6 months, and so on. And you can cancel anytime. So that's what I paid for the first month was $24.95 because I just wanted to see what's out there and what was going on. Some other thing, I've met about 3 men on Bumble thus far. My subscription should be up on the 10th of July. Things have been going very, very slow on that site for me. At first, I decided to go to the settings. You have to go to the settings, and that's where the majority of your profile comes from. You can pick from the ages of 30 to 40 as a range of age types that you're looking for. And so I decided to pick from age 30 to 35. I started getting a lot of young men, and I've met 2 of them, talked about how I was gorgeous, but they weren't genuinely interested in dating me. They just One guy said, I really don't know what I want. So he was not ready to probably be on a dating site because he wasn't ready, and he wasn't even understanding what he wanted at that particular time. So just be careful when you start to look for younger men and get into the 30s, 35s. They may not be ready for a relationship. That doesn't mean that everybody in that age range is not, but if you're looking for something solid, you might have to, just like I did, check out the 30, 35 and then change. I went and decided that maybe I should just go into the older age group and check into the 40s and the 45-year-olds and see if I can get some better prospects. But as I've noticed, it's been very slow. I have met very, very few men that was of interest to me in that age group. So I'm still working on it. I still have some time until the 10th of July to make my decision to see if I will still stick it out with Bumble. But I also met a teacher, and he had been on the dating site since 2018. And I asked him how many dates that he had. He told me he had about 3 dates. And I asked him, how come the dates did not lead him to marriage? And at that point, I didn't get a response back. He took like 20 minutes to say anything. I was waiting for a response and waiting, and I never got anything. So I said, you know what? If you're on a dating site and you don't want to talk or answer any questions, then what are your motives? What is your understanding of a dating site? It is good to ask questions like that, because if they've been on the dating site since 2018, it would be interesting to know if they've met somebody who they're really interested in, and is it going to lead to marriage or not. So you want to know how they're progressing on that website, and it would be interesting to know. So he did not want to answer any questions, and after a couple hours that I gave him to respond, he didn't. So I went into that delete feature and I put, I'm just not interested. So that will delete them and you won't see that person again. So that is a conversation that I had. That is someone that obviously just because they say teacher or they have this professional name doesn't necessarily mean that this prospect is for you. This prospect may not work out. So choose very wisely, not necessarily based on their profession, but check out the profile, try to understand what's going on. See where it goes. If you're not getting any response and you're giving people chances to respond to you and you haven't heard anything for a couple days, couple minutes, maybe an hour or so, then hey. And if you say, well, maybe I'll just wait for 2 days and see if this person will respond, and they don't, then you can delete them. You can choose to do that. I will also say with Bumble, when people do their profile, they will do 3 or 4 pictures. Like I said in my last video, if people are not happy with the picture that you have on your profile, that's too bad. If you've been in a relationship a long time and you decide you want to send them an extra picture, you can do that. But some people already put 3 and 4 pictures on their profile. So if you're not happy with any of those pictures and you're requesting more pictures from them, then that's too bad. And it is best if you just read their profile, try to be interested in the person for who they are, and not necessarily um, relying on a picture. The last uh, topic that I wanted to talk about was barriers to relationship. And the first barrier to relationship is you. It is always you. It is always you. You have to think, you have to think about entering this relationship. Let's just say you've been in a relationship a long time, and this is your first time dating, you just got a divorce and you waited a couple months before you entered a dating site, and or you broke up with your girlfriend or boyfriend, and you just wanted to try things out. What would make these barriers more apparent to you? And the problem is, maybe you are not ready for the dating site. Maybe you are not ready because you're not healed from these past relationships. Maybe you do not have the finances in place. Maybe you need to go back to school. Maybe you need to pick up a second job. Maybe you're having issues saying, what do I do with this new relationship if anything pans out on these dating sites? So it's you. You have to get yourself together. You have to really know what you're looking for, and not just know what you're looking for, be able to execute a plan and say, listen, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I have to bring to the table. Um, does this person live too far from me? How am I going to get there? Think about your fears. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of a new relationship? Are you afraid of, telling or exposing everything about you to this new person? So this is a barrier, and the barrier could be you and all your issues and all your problems, on all your faults and all your tendencies to go back and forth in your mind. It might be your personality. You just are too anxious. Maybe you need to just wait and think about making a decision to go on a dating site. Maybe you have to say, well, what if I really get all my ducks in a row, get my finance together, um, get rid of this, deal with my fear, deal with my anxiety, six in one hand, a half a dozen in the other. So you have to just come to terms with yourself and understand that life is going to keep going, continuing. And so as you continue to deal with your problems every day, you just have to find what works for you so that you can deal with a new relationship. So don't let you and all your issues be a barrier to relationships. Another barrier to relationships is parents. I find that parents, let's just say you are in a interracial relationship, and mother and father is not in agreement. They don't want you to be with the black girl. They don't want you to be with the white guy. How can they become barriers? Well, they may have had previous relationships that have not worked out, and they may be saying, this may not work for this reason. It may not work for that reason. What if you guys don't get along? What if you guys start to argue? What if you guys start to fight? What if you guys, find that your races are and your differences are so different that you start to nitpick at each other about race? And what if this really doesn't work? Now, some people have good intentions and they might be steering you in the right way. Parents want the best for their children, hopefully. But if they are racist, if they have these ideals that you're not going to inherit my house, you're not going to inherit this money because you're dating a black girl, you're not going to inherit this car because you're dating a black girl, then where do you stand up and say, wait a minute, this is my relationship. I will take care of my problems. You don't have to hold anything over my head. I don't need the inheritance. I don't need the car. I don't need this, you leaving me this house. So I have an example of that. I met this gentleman, and I will go back to interracial relationship because that's where I met him on the website. One weekend I was looking into that site on a particular weekend, and the gentleman was in town on that particular weekend. And he said to me, why don't you just come and meet me and come down and meet me? I'll only be here for the weekend. And I said, I really can't do that because I have things to do this weekend, and this is so soon. I don't even know who you are. And we got to talking, and he says, I really love black women, and my family pushed me into dating a white woman, and I end up marrying her. And it was just thought provoking because his family forced him, that's what he said, forced him, made him marry this white lady, and he did not want that. He wanted a black to marry a black woman. And he says now he has children with the white lady, and he's been married for quite some time. And then we begin to talk, and I began to ask him some questions, and he began to say, well, it doesn't matter how good the sex was, he was not going to leave his wife for a black woman. So now he is feeling, quote unquote, trapped in a relationship that was pushed on by his family, that he felt like he had to be in because his family said so, and that's not what he wanted in his heart. So barriers to relationship could be your parents, their ideology, what they think, the fact that they may have money, the fact that they say to you, I'm not leaving anything to you if you marry this particular person. So you have to come to terms with yourself, and you have to be free and understanding enough to say, wait a minute, this is my life. Let me work on my issues and see where they go from here. And you don't have to force me into a relationship that I do not want. The other barrier to racism is a cliche that people use. It's stay with your own kind. That's the same thing as the example that I gave with the racism and parents. Why are you afraid to be in an interracial relationship? You need to be genuinely interested. I have spoken to various men, women who are not genuinely interested in interracial relationships. They are curious to know what it's like to be with a black man or a white woman, but they are not genuinely interested in having the relationship, having the diversity, having the culture, you're just knowing what each other does and how different their lives are. You have to be genuinely interested to understand what it is to be in an interracial relationship. Just being curious and wanting to experience a little bit here and there is not good enough. You have to wholeheartedly be interested. And it can't be because she's so gorgeous and she's so beautiful. No, it has to be because you really respect and love that particular person that you're with. So racism, You need to deal with that. You need to talk to it with your partner. You need to ask them questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. Um, if you two begin to argue, then you know that you have some issues in the relationship and you have to deal with it. But it is very important to deal with racism, deal with the issues that you have with each other before you go any further in the dating world. Another barrier to relationship could be rejection. You're afraid to be rejected. You know, some of the people who I've sent out responses to, they have not replied. You know, I may feel rejected, and so that might just stop me from trying to pursue the dating relationship. So that is a barrier, or that can be, if you allow it to be a barrier to relationship. It's just every time you get on the site, you get hung up on, or you call the person, they're not there, they don't seem interested, and so after a while you'll probably start to feel rejected. But that is when you have to learn how to deal with rejection and just take things as they come. Another barrier to relationship is desperation. Who wants to just pick somebody to be with just to be with them? It is not easy for some people to be single. And when I talk about single, I mean no sex, no kissing, no touching, no hugging. Now, when some people say single, they mean they have this girl down the street that they're visiting every couple weeks. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about literally celibate, no kissing, no touching, no sex, nothing. And so sometimes when you've had long periods of drought, let's just say it like that, you may want to talk to somebody or feel like you should talk to somebody out of the feeling of desperation, and you don't care who it is. So let that not be said of you that you are desperate. Don't get to the point where you're desperate. So what you do when you feel desperation, you start to make a list. You say, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. You maybe have to go outside. You maybe have to start gardening. You maybe have to do some extra curricular activity. Maybe you have to go to the gym. Maybe you have to be around some different people. Get yourself busy, and don't stay in the house if you get depressed in the house, and get out and go out and be with your friends if you have friends. But when those feelings of desperation come up on you, you have to deal with them. Another area is spirituality. If you know that you believe in God and you are serving Him and you love Him, He will help you with these barriers to relationship. You might have to find yourself praying and taking everything to the Lord. So these are areas that I believe that people struggle with, people have issues with, and they truly are barriers to relationship. They will make the dating process a lot more harder than it should be. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And when you do find your relationship, whether you find it with a dating app or just out and about, there has to be some kind of compromise in your relationship. The relationships are compromising. You have to compromise and know how to do it. So these are some things that I wanted to bring to your attention today. We talked about Zoosk. We talked about making a profile. We talked about taking a picture and being in the picture and not being somewhere behind a tree where nobody could see you. Be in the picture so that somebody can look at you. Not that you can't have a profile without a picture, but it's nicer to be able to see the person. You don't have to request multiple pictures of the person. Like I talked about in my last video, that can be an invasion of their privacy, asking for multiple pictures for no apparent reason, just because you feel like you need more, you need to see more. No. We talked about Match, Zoosk, Bumble. Like I said, on my next video, I will see how Bumble goes. I will see how many more prospects, how many more people respond to me, how many more views I get, and that will determine if I will continue with Bumble. But for now, that is all that I have. In my next video, I will definitely talk about the relationship or the prospect that for a relationship that I'm in. I have been talking to someone for about a month and 2 weeks. It seems to be going very well. I'll keep you posted on how that's going. And I will also talk about a long-term relationship that I've had, and why that is no longer. So I hope that you enjoyed this video today. If you have any comments, concerns, please leave them in the comment box. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you soon.